Hello, everyone. This is Jeff, owner of Team Borham at Keller Williams Realty, coming to you with a new exciting podcast. I am thrilled to introduce all of our listeners, all of our watchers, to one of the first people to join Team Borham. This is Mat Bennett. Matt is a top performing agent, a friend of mine, and we're just thrilled to have you with us. Hello, Matt.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no, absolutely. And, I really wanted to have you on to really demonstrate the story of how to grow and be successful in real estate from the team perspective. There's frankly, there's a lot of real estate teams in Tampa Bay and the world, and agents sometimes think that they're capped or that there's less opportunity, when in fact, I think frankly for 95% of people, they have the opportunity to be more successful on a team than they would be individually. And just Matt, why don't you take it away? Just kind of give us your backstory, what got you into real estate, and then we can start walking through the layers of success that you've had.
Sure. Yeah, we'll go down that road. We'll go where it all started. So I worked in retail management for a number of years and started to get burnout on that. No matter which company I worked for, as good as they were, I just started to get burnout on that profession. So I started down the real estate road actually when I was supposed to take over my father's home inspection company, or at least start working with him and my brother to go that
We
route.
can name drop it. So Dave Bennett Inspections.
Yep, D. Bennett Inspections, Dave and Dan Bennett. So the plan was for me to get involved in that business, and then me and my brother would eventually down the road take it over. However, I quickly realized I don't like crawling into attic space in the middle of August.
Right.
So that was another path that didn't quite lead me to where I wanted to go, but it did teach me quite a bit. Obviously, it taught me a lot from the home inspection side of the business, but it also got me tuned into real estate in general, and you, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So that's actually when I met you for the first time, is when I was working with my father's home inspection business.
That was a penthouse condo on the beach, right?
Yep,
So
super nice
we're
condo.
selling a really nice condo right on the Gulf of Mexico. And I see Matt and I'm like, oh, okay. Seems like a normal guy. He's getting his real estate license. Like, we should talk.
Yeah.
And you did. You said, hey, let's talk. I might want to do it on my own. I might want to be on a team. So talk to me about that mindset and what you were thinking.
Yeah, I really wasn't sure at that point which route I wanted to go, because I hadn't had any experience in real estate whatsoever. And some people had told me that, don't join a team, do it on your own. You have more to gain by doing it on your own. And then other people like yourself said, actually, I think, a team is a good thing. So I was trying to kind of test both waters, and I didn't know which way I wanted to go. But ultimately, you were a great guide and one of the few realtors that actually took me under their wing and really kind of showed me the ropes. And there was no real benefit for you to do that. That was just out of the kindness of your heart and professionalism. So I appreciate that. So I started on my own, obviously with Keller Williams. I wanted to test that water first. I wanted to go down that path first. And I started to realize that there's more to gain from a team just simply from the transactional perspective. So I was handling all my own paperwork, but meanwhile, I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
So,
and that's scary in this industry, right? Because we're dealing with contracts, we're dealing
legal
with
documents,
hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of dollars on the line in these transactions.
Yeah, I think we were close to a year before I started to realize, every time I have a question about these legal contractual binding documents, I'm calling Jeff, or I'm calling your brother Bill, or I'm calling someone within the organization. So it kind of dawned on me at that point that maybe I should try the other route. Instead of doing this on my own, maybe I should join a team, because you'd explained the benefits at that point. So that's when we took the dive, and I think we just discussed that was summer of 05 or 15.
Yeah, 15. Yeah, we're dating ourselves, but hopefully not by that much, right?
Yeah.
And what I thought was fascinating is, and I knew that the home inspection background is actually pretty powerful, especially in a market where there's FHA and VA and honestly, so many as-is contracts today. But as-is doesn't mean as-is. It just means let's negotiate later, versus using a traditional contract where you more or less negotiate up front. And what's cool about that background is, while you can stay in your lane as a realtor, you really do know if a house has an issue for VA or FHA. Like, it gives you that extra layer of knowledge.
Yeah, and you can never really say up front what an FHA or a VA appraiser is going to identify as a problem or a defect, but at least it gives me some background into what I think they might flag. And I can tell my buyers that up front and say, hey, I know you like the house, this might be a problem down the road. Or frankly, I've been in situations before where unfortunately the buyer's been head over heels about the property, but I spot a few things that I just know aren't going to be worthwhile or in their best interest. So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, definitely it does help from that perspective because you can identify certain things that you can address right up front. Don't be surprised when this comes up in the home inspection, or don't be surprised when this comes up in the appraisal that this is a defect and it's going to need to be taken care of.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I noticed right away about you was your responsiveness, frankly. For me, being an owner of a team, something that's important is when we have leads come in, we need someone that's going to jump on them quickly because people want to be serviced, right? And I think some people forget that we're in the service industry. This isn't just like, hey, I'll get to you when I get to you. Yet, you don't have to respond to people immediately per se. Yet you have to be timely, yes. And when we were first discussing getting into business together, we did have a few what I like to call overflow buyer leads that I needed to be taken care of. And when I sent them to you, you took care of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually how we really kind of started working together. You kind of baited me into the team, as I like to say. So yeah, you gave me a few leads up front, said, hey, why don't you try working these? And I had good success with them. So yeah, it all kind of worked out.
Yeah, so that was 2015, and then we walked into 2016, and I'm pretty sure that year you sold 26, 27 houses. Like you had a relatively successful year. Can you talk a little bit about how you ramped up so quickly? Because for most, if there's a brand new agent listening to this, like to sell 26 homes basically in your second full-time, year in real estate's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it had to do with the experience that you and Bill and at the time Amanda, provided. But from a transactional perspective, like I alluded to earlier, being able to take that off my plate, being able to take a lot of the documentation and a lot of just the simple compliance file work off my plate allowed me to spend more time with lead generation. Right. So I could do more open houses, or I could concentrate more on providing better customer service to the clients, which then in turns, provides other referrals down the road.
Right.
So really, joining the team kind of freed up more time, I guess is the best way to put it. When you have more free time, you have more time to lead generate.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing is it just actually opened my eyes to, well, I don't have to spend 3 or 4 hours a day putting together documentation for buyers to sign or sellers to sign. I can actually use that 3 or 4 hours to go talk to more people.
Right.
Yeah,
it's a crazy concept. People don't realize this. Listeners, when you're a single sole practicing realtor and you don't have any administrative support, you're probably doing admin, marketing, data entry work 80% of your day is not actual realtoring of like showing houses, meeting with clients, discussing offers. Those items behind the scenes eat up your whole day. And frankly, if you're a sales type person, that's not a lot of fun.
No. I'm very organized and I don't not like that stuff. But when it cuts into your time talking to people and doing open houses, it starts to think. I remember my first year in real estate, or my first time solo as a solo agent. I'd be at my open houses doing paperwork, doing admin work. Right. So somebody would walk in the door and I'd be a little distracted because I was in the midst of compiling my paperwork for another transaction I had going on. Sure. So it's always in the back of your mind. But when you join a team and you have the ability to say, okay, here, Tanya, or here, Amanda, could you help me out with this? Then all of a sudden that stress is off your shoulder. You can concentrate more on, on the goal.
Well, talk to us more about your evolution. So that's how you kind of got the buck kicking, if you will. You got the time and you put in the work. What's been your evolution in the last few years, to the Mat Bennett that's in front of us, that's a mega agent. Last year, I believe you sold 15-ish million, whatever the exact number was. This year, you're putting up similar numbers. Next year, I know you're committed to selling even more. What's really been the biggest growth factor and evolution in Mat the last couple of years?
Dedicating specific time to specific tasks, I think, is the thing that helped me the most. The first year was just, getting going, doing a lot of open houses, meeting buyers, sellers, whoever it might have been. But now it's been a matter of just committing to a time block. So the first 2-3 hours of your day are committed to a certain task. And the way I have it, divvied up is Monday is this, Tuesday is that, Wednesday is this, Thursday is that. So each and every week there's dedicated follow-up to past clients. There's dedicated follow-up to people that are in your database, people that might send you a referral down the road or have already sent you referrals. So making sure that you're not missing that, I think, is the biggest step to maintaining success rather than riding that roller coaster.
Well, people think that we're in a transactional business, and we are, and yet what I think separates Team Borham as a whole and you individually it's not a transaction and you don't hear from us again. Like, we become friends with people. I know you
Yeah.
become friends with
Yeah.
people, et cetera. Talk a little bit more about that as well. What has evolved from you selling real estate? I mean, you've developed a whole group of friends and so forth.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I've grown to love real estate so much is because literally some of my past sales have led to some of my best friends, that I have currently. So it's such a fun business in the fact that not only you're helping someone accomplish such a major life milestone, but you're also making friends and acquaintances along the way. So it's fun when that dedicated time block that I'm talking about, that's not, a drag. It's fun when you get to call a past client and just talk to them about how their life's going and how their day to day is. It's fun. I mean, that's your job, is to follow up with past clients and just kind of shoot the breeze.
Well, if you're listening to this podcast and your realtor hasn't called you, emailed you, sent you anything since you bought or sold your house, you might be working with the wrong realtor, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I've always believed in growing at least my personal side of the business through more of a grassroots campaign, rather than, go knock on people's doors. And there's nothing wrong with that, to each their own, but rather than go, knock on a neighborhood's doors or cold call, out of a phone book or out of a Google system. I'd rather actually just build my business through past clients, through friends, through family, because it's more natural. It's more, and I've been able to do that, successfully so far.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, talk about that just for one more minute. Like, how's that feel to know that you're the trusted professional for your friends, your family members? Like, there's a pride to it too, right?
Yeah, there's a pride. There's also a responsibility to it. You never want to let anybody down, so you always have to maintain that. The information, the knowledge, you have to stay on top of your game. So that way when somebody does pop a question at you, you know what you're talking about. But it feels good, honestly, to know that you're, the trusted professional that they'll go to.
Absolutely. What's next, Mr. Bennett? What is next?
Next is to, build a team within a team, right? So I'd like to get to the point where I have so much business that it's a problem, I'd like to get to the point this year, 2021, to where, I have to incorporate some showing assistants.
Yep.
To where that will also, again, time blocking, it'll free up a little bit more time for me. So that's the goal this year, is to really take business to the next level.
Yeah.
I've sold about 15 million before. I've sold close to 40 homes in a year before, but now it's time to basically double up or even possibly triple up that production. While still, the challenge, I think, here, and this is, I think, going to be the biggest challenge for me, is still maintaining that personal contact.
Yeah.
Once you get to that point, right? Because I think the fear of that is, if I delegate a showing assistant, then do I lose that personal contact with that seller or that buyer or whatever that relationship?
Well, you're talking
might
to
be.
someone with a little bit of experience on that.
No, I know. Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same thing that being a rainmaker, what you go through, right?
Yep.
Because I mean, I've given you buyers before that are my personal friends, or top referrals from other agents. I mean, $1 million buyers, and you've really stepped up, and I didn't lose any rapport over it because the client wants the service and you stepped up. So it's really just about having that person that's going to do the right job, and then make sure that you're the one who's still doing the warm and fuzzies. Just a quick example, not to go too far off. If you have me, even Jeff, I'm your showing assistant for Saturday, and I go show 3 houses and the tour of the homes is from 2 to 4. Mat Bennett calls them at 4 o'clock and says, "Hey, how'd the showing go?" Right?
Yep.
And that's just customer service, which is innate to you. So you're going to check in with your people. You're going to find out exactly what they thought, and frankly, the buyers are probably going to think that you're giving better customer service than you even are now, because they're going to be getting loved on by you, followed up with by you, and then somebody's going to be doing a really good job of doing the tour. And that's what's fantastic about growing a business, is finding ways to actually make it better.
Yeah, and now, and at that point, I believe they're not working around my schedule anymore either. So that's the customer service side of things. Is that there are times this past year and in years past where, I've had to tell a buyer that I already have appointments that particular time slot, so we're going to have to figure this out. So yeah, I'm a little apprehensive to see how it goes, but I'm also excited.
Yeah.
So I just got to make sure that I'm focusing on that customer service mentality and keeping that personal relationship with those clients.
And you will. What about real estate? You going to buy another house?
Yeah, I'd like to get an investment property. The goal is by the end of 2021, get my first investment property under my belt.
All right, good for you.
So that's the goal.
Good.
So we just got to figure out how to do that.
Yeah. Well, you've heard me say it before, right? Make enough money that you can set aside 20% to buy a rental property.
Yep.
And literally what's awesome about real estate is if you're buying correctly and buying the right property, you make money almost really 4 ways. Yet let's talk about 3 ways. You have cash flow on the property, you have mortgage pay down on the property, and equity creation, right? Historically, real estate values go up approximately 4% a year, right? So even if we have a pullback, eventually it will go up, right? They're not making any more land in Florida, Matt Bennett.
Especially Pinellas County, Hillsborough County.
Yeah, exactly. So, what I tell our clients, what I tell our team, what I tell anybody that will listen to me, which, hopefully is more people, thanks to you being on this podcast, is literally if you can get to 5 rental properties, without a shadow of a doubt, you are going to retire a millionaire. And that is power that literally 99% of people will never experience if they're not a 1%er, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, on that point, you asking me what the next goal is, what the next step is, to get back to something we talked about earlier, none of this really would have been possible without being on a team. So I want to thank you for your insight and your knowledge and kind of your guidance in showing me how to do things. Because obviously you're a property owner yourself, investment properties.
I know a few, or own a few.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that next step, that next chapter, not only to grow the real estate side of the business to get to that point where I need a showing assistant or two, but also have my first investment property and get on that path as well.
Well, it's been an honor to watch you grow. And, I know in the last couple of years, I've been able to watch you get married, watch you reno your first house. And even though you're older than me, it's like
by like a year.
It's like a proud moment, right? Because here's the deal too. Like you have to understand from my perspective, almost 90% of real estate agents don't even renew their license after the first renewal period. Like more people fail at real estate 9 to 1 than succeed. And even of the ones that keep their license, only 10% of them make decent money. So when you think about it like that, Matt, you are a 1% realtor.
Yeah.
Fact.
Crazy, yeah.
Right? And to be a part of that is just an honor from my seat. So thank you for being on the journey with me and allowing me to be part of your journey.
Well, thank you for having me.
You got it. All right. Thank you, Matt. Matt Bennett, everybody.
Thanks, guys.